So in today's video, I'm going to mix things up a little bit. I'm going to critique a younger photographer's work and talk about what's working and also give some pointers for what could be improved. Looking at the first image here, the thing that stands out to me a lot is the overall vintage vibe, and I really like the feel of this image. But as we zoom in here on their faces, you'll notice that there are two catch lights in each eye, and it's fairly distracting. This is indicative of having a small fill light source and a small main light source. You could clone out the smaller catch light in the middle and probably get a better result. Or if you want to avoid this altogether on set, I would use a larger light source for my main light over here on camera left. And I also would use a large fill source behind the camera, turned down really low, in order to just open up those shadows a little bit. If you have a large source turned down really low, it's going to be fairly transparent and not that noticeable. Or you could just use a V-flat, a reflector, or a foam board over here on camera left in order to fill in those shadows just a little bit or elevate them a little bit in post. As we look at the next image here, the thing that stands out to me the most is the lighting pattern. This is what we refer to as broad lighting. She is lit from her ear to the tip of her nose, and it's making her head look rather large. And the convention says that we shouldn't use broad lighting for a woman. We could use it for a man, but for a woman, we're supposed to, in general, use short lighting, which just means that the subject is turned towards the light. That isn't always true, but I think it would be better in this instance. So moving the main light over to the other side could work, or just having her turn the other direction towards that main light would instantly improve the image next time. As we look at the next photo, he is also broad lit, and it seems to be working a little bit more. So this supports the convention that broad lighting is better on men. But don't follow the rules all the time. Just know that in this instance, it turned out and worked out better. For our next photo here, I really appreciate the color harmony between the yellow background and the blue sweater. However, if I start to look at the lighting, I will notice that that edge light coming from the top left is just a little too bright, and it's really lighting the side of his face and hitting his nose. When I'm using an edge light, what I typically want to do is I want to have it come from right back there next to the background so that it just creates a nice subtle edge on the subject rather than lighting them from the side. So just move that light back there a little further, and you might even have to move the subject a little closer to the camera in order to just have it hit the edge of their body rather than light the side of their head. The next thing that stands out to me is that the hair light is fairly bright, and that's lighting the top of his shoulder or his trapezius. I bet you didn't have that word on your bingo card, but it just feels a little hot and a little overexposed, so maybe turn the hair light down next time. As I come down here to the bottom of the photo, I can see that the background light at the bottom is a little hot and it's a little blown out down here, so just selecting this part here between his legs in post and darkening it down would help. There might not be detail though there to fix and bring down, so if that is true, you could probably paint it in post by adding a layer. Just keep in mind that the eye is always going to go to the brightest part of the frame, and right now the bottom of the background is really competing with his face for attention, so that's why we want to darken it down. Here in this next photo, it's another example of white or bright areas drawing attention. While I do appreciate that the photographer composed this shot really nicely outdoors using shallow depth of field, I do feel that her dress is a little bit too bright and it is pulling attention away from her face. And also these flowers on camera right, they're also drawing a little bit of attention as well, so I might remove those in post or just darken them down so that the viewer's eyes will go to her eyes rather than these other objects. Looking at this next photo, I really appreciate all the hard light here sculpting his physique, but there are some dark areas of the frame that are totally losing definition. So for instance, this area here underneath his pec has gone completely dark, including his armpit and along his side. So we probably just need a little bit of fill in order to open up those shadows and preserve detail. I also can see that his legs are sticking out here just a little bit below his shorts, and it would be nice to have some detail down there there so that we can actually see them rather than seeing a little bit of a outline there. As we zoom into his face though, I can see that it looks like there is a reflection of a catchlight here, which makes me think that there is a fill light just on his face rather than his body. So I would suggest next time that the photographer sort of used a larger fill source covering more of the image to save those details, or you might be able to save this image in post by raising those blacks and the shadows just a little bit, but oftentimes it's better to fix it on set than in post. For our next photo here, I really appreciate the pose, the way that she's lifting up the dress into one corner while the masks are in the other corner. But unfortunately, it feels like she is just a little too bright. Now, this is going to sound a little contradictory, but when I'm photographing outside, I'm going to, in overcast conditions, I'm going to think about it one of two ways. I'm going to use a large light source and have it down fairly low just to give a little touch of light to create a little bit of direction there. That way the image will look very natural. Or I'm going to use a very bright light source and make it so that the background is underexposed and then it becomes darker and then draws attention to the subject. Unfortunately, in this situation, it feels like the photographer hit it right sort of in the middle. That flash was a little too bright, so it's really standing out and looking really dramatic and announcing itself, but it's not bright enough that the background goes dark, so it's sort of living in that weird middle ground. The other thing too is that this is a really good example of where high-speed sync and a wide or big aperture would help, so that those ships, the boats in the background, were still noticeable. You don't want to go too wide so that it's just like a French impressionistic painting, but a little less detail back there would help. And it looks like this picture was probably shot at 1/200th at f10 at, well, the ISO doesn't matter, but I bet it was somewhere around 1/200th at f10 or f8 or something. Now for this image, I like the way that the background is really blurry using shallow depth of field in this instance. But unfortunately, one thing that stands out to me is the position of the sun that's coming in here and lighting the top of his head. I think the photographer would have been better off taking a step over to their right and turning the subject a little bit so that that sunlight wouldn't be hitting the top of his head. I know it can be really hard outside photographing because you're dealing with so many variables and things that you're trying to avoid and so forth, but we always have to keep our eye on one thing, and that is where is the light coming from in the scene, and we want to make sure that that light isn't causing a distraction when it hits our subject. So looking at this photo here, it does look like his arm and chest over here on camera right are brighter than his face. And so I think the light might be pointed there. And as I look at his face, the light feels like it's coming really from below. And as we zoom in, I see what looks like a reflection of a reflector here. In general, most of the time, the sun is above our subjects and it creates shadows that go down. So you want to make sure that when you're lighting someone, you usually use light that comes from above so that the shadows go down. And that's true whether or not we're using a flash or a reflector. So if you're having a friend help you outdoors on a shoot like this, make sure that they hold the reflector above their head. Now they're going to bitch and complain the entire time about how hard it is, but if they don't do that, you're going to get a result like this and it's going to look kind of scary. Or if you're using a stand, make sure that that light gets up there above them. Also make sure that you're using a sandbag so everything stays safe, but just make sure that whether it's a reflector or a flash, the light comes from above. As we were looking over the images today, if you felt that they were a little bit dated, well, you were right, and congratulations for noticing. I actually took these photos myself about 15 years ago, and I wanted to share them with you today so that you could see what my work looked like back then, and if you're familiar with my work now, you could see sort of how I've progressed over time. The way I was able to get better is that I was always critiquing my own work and looking at it and pushing myself to do better. I was also getting feedback from others and then taking all of that together, as well as some inspiration images, and then going out there and practicing. And I kept practicing over time and I kept getting better over time. So I would really encourage you to do that, because if you don't shoot and you don't practice, you won't get better. If you would actually like for me to critique your work, I would suggest joining the Academy with John Gress, my online members only learning platform. As part of the Academy, we meet twice a month on Zoom in a very small supportive group setting, and you can submit images anonymously to be critiqued, or you can ask me questions in real time. You can also ask me to help you through a problem that you might be having as well. It's normally a very small, intimate group, and so it's a great way to improve your skills. There's also a lot of exclusive video content on the Academy that you won't find here on YouTube. So if you want to check it out, just click on the link in the description. There's a 30-day free trial as well. And while you're down there, leave any questions or comments that you have. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and sign up for the bell. And I'll talk to you soon.